Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you for joining me. My name is Stephanie. I am a life and relationship coach. I want you to kind of ponder these two different scenarios. Scenario one is the woman who has been disappointed by every man she has ever come in contact with, starting with her father. The second woman is the woman who went through one big traumatic event and it completely ruined her life forever. Both women, regardless of their situations, now have the same issues. They both have walls up, they have trust issues, and they have low self-esteem. They will all struggle on some levels with being able to relax. They feel on guard. They don't feel safe alone or with other people. They overreact a lot. They might have trouble staying asleep or even falling asleep. They can't keep still. They're always busy. They might get startled very easily. All of these things are just signs that for a very long time, these women, maybe you are one of these women, have not felt safe. They have felt at times that the men in their life or men in general just have not been able to protect them or did not protect them. If you have felt like this, then you know you're going to come out of these situations in one of two ways. Either you're going to be hyper independent and you're going to have those walls up. You're going to be super defensive. You know you do not trust anyone, and that's just going to be the story that you tell yourself for the rest of your life. Or you're going to be the wounded, weaker woman who just wants to be a trophy wife, who wants to be saved, who wants someone to just make her feel like she's enough. The worst part is both of these women don't even realize that they both have attachment issues. They both have cognitive dissonance when it comes to relationships. So on one hand, they feel like they have a good understanding of what relationships should be. They know that they should feel safe, that they should feel protected, that someone should have their back, that someone shouldn't betray them or give up on them. But they struggle because all their experiences have ever shown them is the complete opposite. That when I let people in, I get hurt. And when I get close to someone, they let me down. That when I need something, I can't rely on people. Those beliefs really clash with what they've gone through. So it leaves them feeling very confused and often don't even know sometimes what the expectation should be on men in the future. And this is where they start accepting less. The bar starts getting very low because they don't raise it, because every time they have raised it, or maybe they just haven't at all throughout their entire life, they have been disappointed. So when you're disappointed time and time again, it just is life kind of hitting you saying, hey, you know what, maybe you should lower that bar, and you start accepting less than you deserve. It's very easy to see how the first woman is wounded. She's been disappointed by every single man she's ever come in contact with. No man has ever been able to be even somewhere close to what she expects or what she would want, starting with her father. For scenario two, maybe the woman's dad actually did show up. Maybe he wasn't like the best example ever, didn't do everything right, but he was decent, he was there, he was a little consistent. This woman still struggles with trusting men, letting people in, or being very healthy herself. Now, why is that? Her wound, much like the first woman, comes from sheer insecurity. She does not have a healthy inner dialogue, a healthy sense of self. She does not love herself to have that really high standard. So maybe her faulty programming didn't necessarily come from dad. Maybe it came from society. Maybe it came from her mother. Maybe it came from somewhere else. But the bottom line is her dialogue does not support the type of relationship that she actually wants. You could also be a woman who just maybe went through one really traumatic event. You went through one really bad breakup. You went through a relationship where you were cheated on, where someone did betray you. And that triggered that insecurity and that I'm not enough inside of you so badly that now you have put up walls and you will not let those walls come down. Picture this. This woman starts a relationship with a man that she deems to be loving. She thinks he's going to be a great dad, and they get married. They have a couple of kids. Maybe she stays home, maybe she goes to work, but regardless, she has fully put all of her trust in this relationship. Let's keep playing the game. She gets cheated on after many years of marriage that she thought she was in a good marriage, a commitment, a partnership, a loving relationship. She gets cheated on and he leaves. She, of course, is hurt by what happened to her, and she starts to get a little closed off. She never does any work on herself whatsoever, and now she's stuck in a life that she's not happy with. She's still insecure, she's still bitter, she still hasn't found anything that she actually wants for herself. Like, she doesn't even feel happy in her own skin. It's just a facade that she's playing, or maybe not. Maybe she's extremely angry and bitter. The next woman is a woman who very much means well, has tried her whole life to be healthy. Maybe she definitely has some baggage from her past coming from her dad, and maybe not trusting men in general, but for the most part, she's not insecure. She's fairly got her stuff together. She gets involved with someone who's narcissistic. She, not knowing anything about narcissism, believes that this person is the love of her life because she's being groomed. Because she is still wounded, because both women are, she still on some levels is wanting someone to actually love her, see her, and not give up on her. She really believes that this man is her actual soulmate and starts to fall in love with this man. She also starts to create an idea of who she wants him to be and starts overlooking all of those red flags. Of course, she trusts him and she loves him because that's what you do when you're in a committed relationship, but she starts to see things that don't really align with who he says he is. And of course, wanting someone to save her and wanting the commitment of a relationship because she thinks that's going to give her some sense of stability, and not understanding fully what relationships are actually about, being healthy and whole yourself, that she starts to really trust this person and not see that he's starting to treat her badly. She's seeing that the affection is starting to go, that the romance is not what it used to be, and instead of having really high standards, having boundaries, and being able to communicate, recognize that and communicate that with that man, instead what she does is she goes within, or she starts to try even harder. She starts to try to be all the things that she thinks he wants her to be in order to receive love, in order to get that man back. She starts to believe that she actually did something wrong to cause him to start to kind of pull away. This is where she completely loses herself in that relationship and starts to just focus on who she thinks she needs to be in order to get love, approval, validation, all the things that she's craving. All of these women, no matter their situations, have a few things in common. Number one, they never learned healthy dynamics. Healthy dynamics in relationship is about two people being whole on their own and coming together just to share their life together. Number two, both women went into relationships blinded by love and filled with wounds that they couldn't see logically whether or not a person was healthy or even right for them. The expectation on how they wanted to be loved was not set in stone. They were just overcome by either the romance, the love, the possible commitment of the relationship that they were entering into, and that was always the main focus. The problem that I see so often is that so many women just continue to tell themselves stories that are absolutely false. We do know logically that not all men cheat. We do understand logically that not all men are like your ex or your father or every other man that's ever disappointed you. So then what becomes a thing that actually needs to change in order to find this great man that we all are trying to find? You have to stop telling yourself the stories that make you feel like all men are the same. If you know all of these great women who are lovely, who are kind, who want commitment, who are honest, who are loyal, who are healthy, why is there not a man out there that exists that is the same? Then, of course, the next thing that I always hear is that I'm not attracted to those types of men. And that's a false story as well. Aside from just the stories that we tell ourselves, which, believe me when I tell you, that in of itself is something that really will keep people stuck for years and years. There are no good men out there. I'm not attracted to anyone in my city or town. I can never find that kind of connection or chemistry that I'm really looking for. All of those things are false stories. All of those things are just assumptions based on, your dating history or your past. But that doesn't mean that there is not a person out there that you would be physically attracted to, have great emotional intimacy with, mentally connect with, just so unbelievably attracted to this person, that actually exists. But if you keep convincing yourself that it doesn't exist, then you're gonna believe your own lies. The story that we tell ourselves about letting our guard down, that if I let my guard down, then I'm gonna experience pain, because that's what happened to me so many times before in the past. And while I understand that that is what has happened in the past, and it of course is a fear, you would have any fear based on doing something time and time again and getting the same result? Absolutely. You're gonna have a fear about driving a car again if you just got into a car accident. That is completely normal and understandable. But to think that every single time you get behind the wheel that you're gonna get into another car accident just doesn't make sense. Emotional pain is unfortunately a part of life. It is something that we're all going to experience. And while, believe me, none of us want to experience that again, just like none of us want to get into a car accident again, we don't also stop ourselves from driving and living our lives. We eventually get up the courage to say, I'm not going to let this fear control my life, because I actually want to go to the mall, go to the store, go out to dinner, drive around, whatever. And the same is true for relationships. If you really want a relationship, and if you want it bad enough because you know you deserve love That's another thing that we got to work on, self-worth. But if you know you deserve love and you know that you're a great person and you want to give love and you want that intimacy and relationship and connection with another person, you're going to have to let go of all the stories and the fears that you have about emotional pain. Not everyone is going to hurt you. Not every person you can't trust. Not every person is like your ex. It's not safer to stay single, because what ends up happening is if you're single, you are still not happy. You might be happy, you might get to a place where absolutely you're single and you're thriving and you're living your best life, but you're not able to have the also joy that it does feel to be in a relationship. And not that relationships should give us all of the joy that we want to feel inside. Absolutely no. But if we're honest with ourselves, a really great relationship is amazing and worth the possibility of feeling uncomfortable and receiving some emotional pain, especially when you know you're not going to ever receive that level of pain ever again, because the person that you're now with, you actually do trust and they're actually healthy. The last thing, and this is probably a biggie, and it should be actually the first thing. I mean, you can definitely be working on the stories that you tell yourself, because that is going to help you to heal. But you have to understand a few things. Let me break this down for you. What your father did, what every other man has ever done to you, all of those men, unfortunately, were wounded. They were not real men. They did not know how to take care of themselves. They did not know how to have healthy relationships. They were so deeply wounded. And by the way, they had absolutely no idea. Most men are not walking around that are wounded knowing they are wounded. Instead, what they're doing is they're just inflicting pain on other people. Same goes for women. These men were just deeply wounded. Unfortunately, your dad was not healed. Your mom probably wasn't even healed. They didn't know how to raise you or to be healthy themselves. So they were never going to be able to give you what it is that you would have needed in order for you to be your healthiest. And let's say that's not your main big wound, right? You don't have a daddy issue. You don't have this father wound. Maybe dad did show up. Maybe your wound is with your mother. Maybe your wound is with the bully in school. At some point, you came across some person that made you feel uncomfortable, less than, and not enough. And because that experience, that traumatic experience, stayed with you and you did not know how to tend to it or heal it, it stayed with you. And unfortunately, you kept feeding it and feeding it. And that's what caused you to be the person that you were that then attracted that person into your life. Now, that's not your fault, okay? Because you were not aware of any of these things. We're not gonna blame 7-year-old you for not knowing that her dad was sick, twisted, and an alcoholic. We're not gonna go there. But what we are gonna do is say, we're a grown-up now, and we understand all of these things logically. And I also understand that while logically all these men were messed up and not okay and unhealthy, it is now my responsibility to reprogram my own mind, that part of my brain that keeps telling me that love hurts, that I'm the one who's got major issues, I'm the one that's not going to ever find this person again. Like, you have to get control over the stories. You also have to start working on your inner self. So aside from just working on those stories that are holding you back, that are making you feel less than, every man cheats, I'm never gonna find anyone in this town that's good enough, I'm never attracted to anyone, all of that stuff, that's just coming from lack, fear, and absolutely no abundance. We can work on that. Really feeling like you're truly enough inside, loving yourself wholeheartedly for who you are, that's something that you gotta do every single day for the rest of your life, regardless of being wounded. That's just called mental health. The one thing that I talk about everywhere on this channel, on the podcast, on social, is the aspect of healing and then rebuilding. And you have to be able to do both. And healing is so incredibly important, because if you don't heal, then you're carrying all that stuff with you into your present and into your future. And it's affecting your life, who you pick, your life, your happiness, all of those things. So we have to really work on healing and reprogramming some of that stuff. Then rebuilding. And rebuilding is that daily stuff that I just talked about. It's the stuff that you're gonna do every single day, really for the rest of your life, but at least for the short term, it's gonna be every single day just until you start to get some momentum. So if you're interested, I'm starting a masterclass on healing and rebuilding. It starts November 1st. The links are down below that you can pre-register for it. Believe me when I tell you, everyone needs this, regardless of what it is that you're going through. We all have been through stuff that will either ruin our lives or control us for the rest of our life, or we just stay completely stuck and we freeze because of those experiences and we don't do anything at all. So believe me when I tell you, this information is vital towards you overcoming a lot of the things that you've been through in your life. So if you're interested, links are down below. I hope you enjoyed today's video. I'm super excited about all the topics that we're going to be doing over the next month or so. So be on the lookout, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys.